Wonder how much time we got. So we can do a 30-minute video. Wow, volume 7 of Rwby. And as I said before, I'm curious about this next volume. Curious mainly because I've been looking forward to Atlas since the show begun. Not really invested though. It's two different things. I'm curious what's going to happen, but not really invested. But still took the time to come up with so many different predictions or theories, different ways I would like to see the story go, but most likelihood the story won't go. And yeah, early morning, if just to clarify what I've been doing, I binged watched 4 episodes of The Umbrella Academy on Netflix, which is that is our episodes. That's like 4 hours of friggin' show, and it's addictive, fascinating, and I love it. Watch newest episode of Kaguyasama on Crunchyroll. That show has done no wrong. Every character is fascinating. It's funny as hell. Love the show. Shield Hero is progressing nicely for an isekai anime. It's got a really dark twist to it, but it makes good use of all its dark concepts from the slavery and so on. And trying to think, what's the last thing I'm watching? I'm watching Fairy Tail just for the fuck of it because I've read the manga and I'm really curious how they're going to animate some of the characters. On to the predictions, and at first a few shout outs to people on Amino. Ashi Magari said they want Cinder dead. That's not gonna fucking happen. I want Cinder dead. She didn't stay dead. Adam Taurus is gonna stay dead, but not Cinder. You know why? Well, Jessica Nigri has big tits, and Rooster Teeth loves to see them. I wanted Adam Taurus to kind of be like the leader of a third faction, just like Fawn of Superiority, human genocide type shit. We're not going to get that. Cinder is actually our hope for a third faction, because she doesn't want to go. She's against Ozma, but now she's turning against Salem, so she kind of becomes a chaotic neutral faction. And we just gotta hope that they do a better chance with her backstory, motivation than they have other characters like Hazel or Adam, which have just been fucking shit. Dragon Naya and Suede 9. Weiss development, that's gonna fucking happen. I mean, they can't fuck that up. They're in Atlas. I mean, Weiss, they should be in Atlas for about 2 volumes. I'm thinking they have to do at least 2 volumes. If they do just 1 volume, people will start dropping the show. It didn't work in Mistral. That was a horrible decision to just be there for 1 volume. It fucked up the whole dynamic. No one cared about Mistral. Atlas, 2 volumes, I can see them staying there. 1 volume is kind of like a build-up volume. The next volume, the consequence volume. And yes, Weiss will get development, and we'll get into that. Crystal on Amino says in her prediction, Tyrion attacks Rwby. Now, I can get why this person thinks that. It's just, out of all the villains that we're going to go through the predictions and that for, I get Tyrion. I get it. In all the villain tropes, he's got a very basic trope. He's just crazy zealot, religious zealot. Firmly believes in the cause and thinks he's worshipping a goddess, so he will do anything she fucking says. But attacking Rwby, even if it is for the revenge thing, I don't think it's gonna happen. And in all honesty, when we go into I won't go into much with Rwby because I think my prediction for her is pretty one-sided. But Tyrion, I'm more interested in what's capability at this point than Tyrion. Tyrion, I just really don't care for. Because when you look at it, he kind of got defeated in his debut. He had his debut fight against Crow and that. And although he put up one hell of a fight, the fight's so goes back and forth. It's the fact that he just stands there and lets Rwby cut his tail. It's like he stabs him and he's like, yeah, I stabbed him. and then he just leaves his tail extended and it gets cut off. So it's like, Tyrion, I don't really care. Uh, I'm trying to think where this has gone, right? D Train, ABN, because I remember we had, oh yeah, D Train, ABN, and me had a small conversation on one of the articles I did, right? And it went on for a while, and this is going to go into a Weiss prediction for a character development, right? And in this, it is kind of going for Jacque and Weiss. It's more Weiss's character development. This is an option. We're going to go through different scenarios that they could go into. They're all not going to happen. You'll see that different things counter each other. But for this one focuses more on Jacque's character development, because if he's going to be an antagonist villain, I don't want him to be the type of person that's just like, I'm evil because of business and capitalism and money and slavery. Like, I reckon that would be very shallow. I can see Rooster Teeth doing it, because being the leftist retards that they friggin' are, capitalism is evil, we got to try socialism, or some fucking weird dumb shit that they'll pull. Don't put political correctness in Atlas, please, dear God. Like, try to tone it down a bit. But what we basically talked about was Weiss confronts Jacque and summons her knight in front of Jacque as an intimidation card. And this is where Jacque, despite seeing the knight, isn't intimidated by the knight. Jacque mentions that has Weiss ever been curious about the option that Jacque or Whitley might have a semblance that they haven't openly revealed to everyone? Because when we think of the Schnees, everyone's just like, oh wow, the Schnee matriarch semblance. It's basically a matriarchy semblance because it passes down through the females. The males in the Schnee family don't inherit this semblance. And so I think it's something that, because they're saying not everyone has a semblance because it's random. Unlocking aura, if they still stick to what they did in Volume 1, like anyone with an aura can unlock someone else's aura, you would think someone in a business situation like Jacque, who's a CEO, is like, yes, he's got an army and he's got everything, but he would take every opportunity he has to defend himself. So, he doesn't have to openly, like, as a last resort, imagine someone gets through all his armies, gets into his mana, gets to him, he can still activate his aura. It's like a last resort type thing. And then what are the chances that he has a semblance? And this is where I thought, so he stands up and he's like, oh, Weiss, you ever curious about my semblance? And her knight just dissolves and Weiss's aura breaks. Just without damage, it just dissolves. And that Jacque could have the semblance of numbing aura that's in a certain radius around him, so it's ineffective. And this little speech that I kind of came up with is what Jacque would say. He goes like, you talk about Nicholas all the time, but what you aren't aware of is I knew Nicholas personally. I knew it's supposed to be her grandfather. I had his permission to marry your mum, and he knew me as a person, implying that Nick knew what was going on. And he knew Jacque's semblance. That's a key in this. The thing was that he gave the permission for Jacque to marry Weiss's mum, to use his semblance to protect the mother, because, and this is the key thing, Nick did not believe in Weiss's mum, his daughter. Nicholas didn't have faith in his daughter's capabilities to protect herself, so he married her off. He goes on further to say that, like, Weiss's mum isn't a drunk because of Jacque. Weiss's mum is an alcoholic because of Nicholas, her father. That essence of not having faith in his daughter resulted in her drinking. He also would go on to say that Weiss's mum knows about the Faunus slavery in the mines. She knows that it's like its business is business. It's how it functions. So this would kind of really destroy Weiss's world for the fact that up till now everyone's come up with the notion that Weiss's mum, oh, she's going to come out of her alcoholic haze, come out and be this matriarch hero that friggin' saves everything. And I think in this essence, this would be a really bad move. Because what we're seeing in the show is that the previous generation has made a ton of mistakes. We've seen it with Team Stark. They've made a ton of mistakes. They're not all heroes. They're fucked up left, right, and center. Raven, Crow, even in his way, is a fuck up. So it'd be cool to have Weiss's mum she's a bitch. She's a bitch because she hates her father, and she just let Jacque run everything. And as long as they're rich and the family's happy, no one gives a shit. It's dark, but it has a point. There's a point to this. Weiss becomes a reset button for the Schneid family name. And Jacque, in that essence, with his semblance, with the power, everything he controls, is an actual threat and a hurdle. Because you want Weiss to overcome Jacque. Not just, just defeat some friggin' businessman. If he's an actual threat, and he's actual control, and you know what, Weiss's mum is backing him up, that makes it more glorious when Weiss actually takes over. There's a little bonus to that, but I don't want to go into that yet. Going through villains, I was kind of going into the prediction. There has to be a villain that has the most to prove. They have to prove themselves. For me, it's Neo. Neo's nothing but fan service. I mean, what the fuck is she? And now she's just even more fan service because they had to change her outfit so her tits are on display all the time. So yeah, for me, Neo's potential is not that she's cute. She's a fucking psychopath. I find it fascinating how so many people shit on Adam Torres. Oh, he's a fucking idiot. He's a fucking cunt. He's the worst hated character. And yet Neo is one of the most loved characters. And she wants to kill Ruby Rose and has attempted to kill Yang Xiaolong. It's like she's just as bad as Adam. She probably has a kill count as high as Adam. And yet she's adored. It's baffling. But anyway, with Neo, she has to become a threat as well. She's not a threat as she is, because to me she's just fan service. So I'm like, I've seen two instances. You can Google these images, or I'll provide them in the amino post that I do for this video. There's two pictures of Neo that have been drawn as fanfiction, and I adore them. Both ways, this show could go magnificently if they went this way. Neo dresses up, or like does the clothing of Penny. And over the course of Volume 7, during different times, because my Rwby thing is Rwby will be looking into the Penny project and Penny's father and blah 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 going on about that. Dressing up as Penny, and then throughout different episodes as Ruby's moving around Atlas, she kind of notices Neo in the background as Penny, so she notices Penny, but every time she goes after Penny, disappears, not there anymore, right? And then later on in the volume, they can use it as a cliffhanger. She sees Neo Penny, runs after her, and this time it's a trap. Cinder and Neo Penny capture her. Done. Solid. Built up over time. Ruby's side character, she's got a side plot, it works out. It's very dark. You don't... It's kind of like... and it pays off. They've said, you'll see Penny again, kind of. Neo Penny, kind of. It works. That's one option. The second one I've seen is one of Neo looking in a mirror, and she's done up as Weiss. The only thing that's different is her eyes. And in the background, you've got Weiss tied up unconscious, and I like that idea that they kidnap Weiss and Neo replaces Weiss. And the way I can do that is that Neo's working with Jacque, and it's kind of like, because what we've seen in volumes 2 and 3 is that Cinder back then was a mastermind. She manipulated everything, and it's what made volume 5 so fucking stupid. Is she just went brain dead. Want to see more of this mastermind Cinder shit. So, although she hates like men in power and patriarchy, she is willing to use them, Cinder. So if she can get Neo in with your blah blah blah, oh yeah, you know, you keep the Schnee family name, we get what we want, they work together for a common goal. Weiss goes to visit Jacque, you know, that whole speech happens, and it's in his office, and a side, like one of the bookcases opens. Weiss goes, what the fuck is this? Neo walks in dressed up as Weiss, and, you know, she gets defensive, and Jacque or Cinder from behind knocks out Weiss, and they kidnap her, and all of a sudden Jacque has Neo Weiss, who's willing to do whatever the fuck Jacque wants. And yeah, that's my two ideas for Neo. It's like Neo really has to do some dark shit if she's honestly just standing in the background. Every fandom who puts Neo in the top 5 is a fucking idiot. She needs to do something big. What were we going on for Cinder? Yeah, Cinder needs to return to volume 1 to 3, mastermind and play both sides. The lamp. You know, from a logical point of view, use up the last question. Summon Jin. Honestly, the stupid thing is, this is the stupid thing in Rwby right now, is, you know, oh, we don't have a question. Fuck off you. There's tons of questions. It's more the fact that they have to pick out which question they want to ask. They have to be very careful. There's tons of questions to ask. To say I don't have a question is stupid. Logically, you would use up all the questions, because that resets the lamp for 100 years, and all of a sudden the lamp is useless. Then the villains technically won't want it because it's useless. They can't use it. Instead, the lamp, for the sake of the plot, has one question to go, and there's no real point in having any of Team Rwby, Junior, whatever, use the friggin' lamp at this point, because they've had it in their control for this long. It'd just be stupid. So basically the lamp is just sitting there for stupid reasons until either Salem, which I doubt Salem's going to get it, I can see Cinder getting it, and Cinder using it, and that's how they're going to give us some kind of Cinder flashback as well. We'll find out more about Ozpin or Salem, but at the same time we'll get some type of Cinder flashback. She asked a question. My only problem is, how does Cinder figure out Jin's name? That was actually one of my problems with the series in general, is that the relics were created by the gods, scattered all across the planet, and Ozma, whatever, goes and finds them, and he's able to summon Jin. It's never stated that on the lamp it says, in some language, summon Jin, say Jin and she will appear. It doesn't say that. It's like they had to be told by Oscar, using Ozpin's memories, say Jin, summon her. That's how it works. So who's going to tell Cinder how to do it, or who told Ozma in the first place how to do it? That is a question I would like to know. So we've done the shout-outs, we've done Neo, we've done Weiss, Jacque, Cinder. This was an idea I came up with, and I did a post on it. And I'll add it in for good sake, because I'm actually proud of this idea. I was kind of thinking, a lot of the stuff in Rwby comes from some form of inspiration. Whether it fits in the show is a whole completely different thing, because as I said, there's no South American culture in all of Remnant that we know about, and yet Maria's South American inspired, so it's good that they have representation, but if the culture doesn't exist in the show, it's kind of stupid. But with the Faunus, it was made obvious very early on when I was talking about the show that the Faunus were kind of like, the oppressed. So, it could be Indian Americans, it could be the blacks, it could be anyone early on. Most likely, I think they were hinting at the black with Martin Luther King and the whole thing that went on during the whole American Civil War. But I was just like kind of thinking, because I was listening to music in my room, and I was like, there's specific things to the black community that you would put in with black people, and they had radio stations back then that were solely for the black community. They're trying to start that shit up today, and there's no point in it today. But rap music was created, that type of thing, and you had like ghettos for the black community. You had the so-called white people living in the upper class. I was just thinking, with how they've developed Atlas with Solaris, the floating city, and Mantle, the mining city on the ground, I came up with the idea of, and I called it Faunus Radio. And what they could do is, for Blake and Yang, because I really think that Team Rwby does need to not kind of like split up like Volume 4, but they're all in Atlas. They're just in different areas exploring different side stories, and yet they can all report back to like some house that they're going to stay in a fucking house, aren't they? People get that joke. Blake and Yang go to explore a club. They're going to go get some like Faunus intel. And why those two? Why put Bumblebee? Because they're going to leave Bumblebee together until they get to Vacchio. And then they're going to solve everything when the Sun, Yang, and Blake can sit down and discover whether Blake wants dick or pussy. It's that simple. But, the whole time they're in Atlas, it's going to be a Bumblebee type thing. Yang is famous for going to clubs. Blake is a faunist. They head down to Mantle. They're searching for information. They go to a faunus, kind of like underground nightclub. And there's a band playing. Bands like wearing like masks, and they see not only the current White Fang symbol, but the old White Fang symbol, as well as I don't know how they would get the information that the Brotherhood started up. I really don't know. No, just have the two White Fang symbols on, blah blah blah. They go talk to the band after they're done, and this is a good instance. This was one idea I came up with afterwards. I didn't put in the last thing. Jeff and Cassie, who do all the friggin' songs, make them actual characters in the show. They can make them two of the band members. Make them faunus revolutionaries that are in a band singing in a faunus nightclub. Make them actual characters. Fuck, do it. It'd be interesting. Then they go back, they're talking with the band, and the band interrogates them because obviously they don't know who they are. And then one of them, then they start arguing. Oh, that's that, and they sit down. Oh, you're Blake Belladonna, aren't you? The daughter of the Belladonna. That started the White Fang. Yes, so they trust her, and they get on to like one of those video calls, like they did with Weiss in Volume 3, I think it was. And they video call the Faunus contacts in Solaris, who happen to be Team Funky. Bring Neon into it with Flint, and we see the other two members, and they're like, yeah, we're the contact. We give the information to the Faunus from Solaris, blah blah blah, as they're building up their Faunus thing. And I actually have a bit of a idea for this, because I don't like characters just being introduced for like small reasons. And I was kind of thinking, like, if you wanted to make this really dark, is like they build up this whole thing, they're building up the faunuses to take over Solaris or whatever, and they're the contacts in Solaris. It's Team Funky, and at the end of Volume 7, when it's clear that we're staying in Atlas for another volume, the end credit scene of Volume 7 is in Jacque's office, and he's just doing paperwork. Ignores Weiss. Weiss storms out pissed off. And into the office walks Neon, and she reports to him everything that the Faunas are up to. This makes her an antagonist and a bitch as well. She's just looking out for herself. She likes high society. She likes money. She doesn't give a fuck about the Faunas. Interesting concept there. So yes, we talked about Weiss White guest development. Blake and Yang can go do their Fauna shit down in Mantle. I don't give a shit. Ruby Rose is going to be looking into Penny Project, Penny's father. This is just a small idea that they could do for that. Kind of get Penny's father to be like the mad scientist type thing, where, oh, you're friends with my daughter, oh, did you like how I created her, you know, I did it to save her life. Maybe have it, try to tempt Ruby, oh, do you want me to transfer your soul into a machine body, then you'll be the ultimate fighting machine. Given that I see Ruby as weapon sexual, she's like addicted to weapons, that would be kind of funny. She won't give in to it, obviously, because of the whole Silver Eye bullshit. But it would be a little funny joke. I want to see where that goes. Trying to sum up, we've basically gone through different things. I am disappointed that Ilya is not going to be in Alice. I think that was a massive missed opportunity, given to see how she would react, because all the people she most likely went to school with have graduated and are part of the noble community now. Like, imagine if Henry Marigold went to school with her. Jesus Christ. Seeing her face her demons would be very interesting. So I think they fucked up with that. Sun not going, I can understand why. I'm just disappointed that the honest truth why Sun is not in Atlas is because he's a pain in the ass to animate. Like, every person who learns how to animate Sun has gone off to work for Genlock. So it's like they stuck Sun in Vacchio so they can bloody have 2 to 3 years to learn how to freaking animate him again once they get to Vacchio. He's disgruntled Elysian Knight. We can see him hacking into shit again. He's very two-dimensional. It's basically, we want to know why he's disgruntled. What did he invent that got him kicked out? That is one piece of information I want to know. The Tyrion's going. The flying monkeys, I don't give a flying fuck for. I think that was one of the dumbest cliffhangers that we've seen. Like, I get the whole reference to the movie of the Wizard of Oz and shit, but the flying monkeys are fucking stupid shit. Of all the things, like, we had theories of Adam getting turned into a friggin' Grimm. Like, he just follows it. Like, if he should have literally, instead of the whole thing with Volume 6, just followed Hazel and that, showed up at the doorstep and it being Grimm mutated. Half Grimm, half human. Start bringing that aspect into it. That would have been fucking fascinating. See how powerful he gets. He wouldn't have his aura. Oh, he wouldn't have his... Oh no, but he's half-half. If they half-half mutated, his human half can still use aura. And see the tricky part there. Tricky. Imagine Adam Taurus still able to activate his aura on certain parts of his body, still able to absorb damage, but to have some grim capabilities as well. Would have been interesting. We talked short. Weiss's mother. I wanted to be an evil bitch. I don't think anyone's ever considered that. Sorry, I'm just like trying to sum up all the different characters I think we'll see. I don't want to see Henry Marigold. Honestly, it looks like a Neptune ripoff. It's just fucking retarded, that character. Ironwood. I'll end this with Ironwood. Wow, where do I want to see him go? Oh, him and Oscar. If it's one thing they have to learn from Volume 4 and Volume 6, give Oscar some fucking development. Every time this boy has had a chance to have development, they fuck it up. We didn't see him in Volume 4 on the farm, why he left the farm, why he chose to embrace his destiny. In Volume 6, we didn't see his inner conflict after the fight with John and everything. We don't see anything. So, scenes with Ironwood and Oscar at the same time would be very interesting, as if Ospen stays locked away, he has a chance to learn off Ironwood a different perspective on how, like, this Illuminati shit works. And that's where I'm going to end the video. Okay, everyone? That's all the predictions. That's all the theories. Let me know which one. I hope all the shout-outs went to Amino. And I'm going to go... Look at that t-shirt. AJ Styles. I'm going to go watch friggin' Elimination Chamber.